I call Poto Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have to just make one quick comment before I get into the substance of my speech today, and that's to say that the contributions from the last two National Party members have been really, really dreadful. And I also have to say that those last two National Party members who contributed were also the two people who stood in the last two elections in Christchurch East and lost to me. So I just wanted to remind you of that little lesson.
Again?
This bill, Mr. Speaker, is about people who are elected who have to be accountable for things that they may not have been responsible for. This is what this bill is about, Mr. Speaker. All of us who are elected to public office know at some point we may have to be accountable for the actions of those who have preceded us, and that is exactly what this bill is about. I know that the Select Committee and some of the members of the Select Committee, I should say, have been a little harsh in their comments about the officials who presented to the Select Committee from the Council, and that they were expecting them to be really overwrought in their desire to get this bill passed and really be grovelling, Mr. Speaker, I think is the term I want to use. Well, actually, what they have done is a really sensible thing. At a time when their council is under some pressure. Let's face it, it is probably one of the most difficult jobs going at the moment, being a councillor on the Christchurch City Council, and it has been for the last 4 or 5 years. So for the Select Committee to be scathing of the attitude of the officials that presented, I think is a little bit rich, Mr. Speaker. While I'm on that note, I do want to send my greetings to the Christchurch elected representatives, to the hard-working councillors and the community board members who might be listening tonight to finally have this bill passed so that they can get on with their jobs. And they are going through a particularly busy time. They are hearing submissions on the long-term plan, and I want to acknowledge the work that the hundreds of submitters have done from the Christchurch East electorate into that long-term plan, many of them wanting to ensure that the New Brighton community becomes once again the jewel in the crown of Christchurch City. So I want to acknowledge all the hard work that they do, that they have been doing, and all of the hard work that the Christchurch City councillors and community boards have done. Let's face it, it has been a difficult time. But in the midst of all of this difficult time, the acting Chief Executive, Jane Parfitt, found a problem. Back in 2002, 2003, in an attempt to actually have a plain language solution to the ratings language, the council made a bit of a mistake. And it didn't actually include, as my colleague Sir William Sewell says, all the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's. But it took for a very busy acting CEO at a very extraordinarily busy time to find the error and to ask for our help to put it right. A very busy CEO at a very busy time. And it is our job to actually do what we need to do to ensure that we can validate those rates so that the council can be sure that it can use those rate payments that were collected for the manner that it should. But not only that, it also needs to ensure that it can provide for the collection of rates that weren't collected during that period from those, I think, 38 or so ratepayers who owe in the vicinity of $600,000. So that's what this bill does. I'm not going to speak too much further on it. I think actually what we should do is get this bill passed so that we can get on with the job in Christchurch. And I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for permitting my contribution. Thank you.
Kia ora.